Michelle Williams in The Fabelmans.
Michelle Yeoh?
And Michelle Yeoh in every...
They snubbed Daniel Detweiler! You gotta be kidding me! No way! No way!
Yeah!
Hello everybody, here we are once again on the day of the Oscar nominations, and my goodness, there's a lot of takeaways this year, a lot of snubs as usual, specifically in acting categories, and I will get into that. But I think the biggest takeaways from the ceremony, I need to watch All Quiet on the Western Front, Triangle Sadness, and Aftersun, and Elvis is like the most overrated movie ever. So, look, let me just be on. Well, you know what? I'll just get into it while we go down the line. But I have a lot of things to say about that movie in particular. And I'm not really going to get into some of the shorter categories. Except I do have to mention the animated short category, which had everybody laughing. The titles, My Year of Dicks and The Oscars Told Me the World is Fake and I Believe It. I mean, come on, how can you get better than that? But anyway, we'll get right into the nominations now, starting with visual effects. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun: Maverick. Now, this is a really interesting batch of nominees because I honestly didn't expect The Batman to get in. That was quite a shock. I'm really surprised that Everything Everywhere All at Once didn't get in either. Or even Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, though I know some people had some problems with the VFX there. But to me, like, I don't know, like, I don't really see why, and Batman's a great movie, I loved it, but I just don't know why that got in over some other movies. And Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I mean, they're better than the visual effects in the first film, but I don't necessarily think that means it warrants an Academy Award nomination. I don't know, but obviously Top Gun Maverick had to give it to Top Gun Maverick. I mean, what they achieved practically is unbelievable. But I think, more than anything, this is obviously going to Avatar: The Way of Water. I mean, this is one of the greatest visual achievements in the history of cinema. It would be a travesty if anything else won. Though I will say, I thought Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio could have been a contender for the stop motion, or Marcel the Shell with shoes on. So I don't know. I really thought that there could have been some other options. But, you know, not a bad list overall. And then we got the category of Best Film Editing. I mean, oh my goodness, this category is all over the place. You got The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. Elvis? Elvis? Really? You gotta be kidding me. This movie is, yet again, this is Bohemian Rhapsody syndrome all over again, but somewhat worse, honestly. I mean, I think you all know how I feel about Elvis at this point, but come on, Babylon wasn't even nominated? Like, jeez, this is just absolutely asinine to me. Like, who looks at that movie and says, yes, the editing in that movie is technically better than anything Tom Cross did in Babylon? Is absolutely out of their minds. I really don't understand this at all. I thought The Fabelmans should have been in there, if anything. I mean, especially that scene where he's, like, cutting back and forth and he's, like, going through the movie montage, and he's cutting the family footage and then he's using it to kind of like reveal stuff about his own family. I mean, there's some really brilliant scenes in that movie, and I think it's such a smooth film overall. That had to have been in there. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I think Glass Onion is another one that I thought was insanely crisply edited. So I'm not really sure why a lot of these movies made it in. Yeah, sure, Top Gun, obviously, that might even win. I think, though, Everything Everywhere All at Once might be one of the best edited films of the past few years. I mean, just the way they're cutting between the multiverse, especially those match cuts. There's like almost 100 within like 10 seconds. I mean, come on, that movie has to win, I think, without question. And I really think that there's some other movies that could have gotten in, as I mentioned, but Tar, look, I mean, it's a well-made film, and I definitely feel like Todd Field deserved a Best Director nomination, but that movie could have been cut down, let's be honest. Banshees of Inisherin, I won't complain about it, because it is a very, very smooth ride from front to back, but Elvis, get the hell out of here. That is one of the stupidest Oscar nominations I've seen. Why is it always the editing category that's like one of the worst? I mean, editing is really the crux of the film, make or break, if you will. And Elvis's editing is just so bombastic and insane. I really don't understand why it's in this category at all. It's a shit nomination, to be quite frankly. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. And for costume design, we have Babylon, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I mean, this is one of the best categories of the entire ceremony, I think. Well, not one of the best. You know what I'm saying. Overall, these nominations are very, very solid. I can't really argue with anything here. These would be the ones I picked. Though I haven't seen Miss Harris Goes to Paris. You really can't knock, especially those Elvis suits, man. I mean, come on. That work done was incredible. So you have to give Elvis credit there where credit's due. I think Babylon, though. I mean, and I even got a chance to see some of the costumes up front in person in this theater in L.A. That I was at. And I'll put a picture up there of them. But really, I think that film's costumes are so period accurate. And just obviously everything they had to capture, being on film sets, everything about it, everything about the era, it's just immaculate from every single level. And I think that should be the one to win. But we'll see. Ruth Carter could win again for her costumes in Wakanda Forever, which obviously, especially during the funeral sequence, I think are quite stupendous. But yeah, this is really such an open race. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, just the creative costumes that they came up with to only show on screen for a few seconds, I think have to be commended. Though I don't think that one's going to take home the award. We'll see, but I'm going to say Babylon. And for Best Cinematography, we have James Friend for All Quiet on the Western Front, Darius Khondji for Bardot, False Chronicles, and A Handful of Truths, Mandy Walker for Elvis, Roger Deakins for Empire of Light, and Florian Hofmeister for Tar. Again, fucking Elvis. I don't know what to tell you. Look, not that it's a badly shot film at all, but compared to Babylon, obviously the Academy really must have wanted to snub this movie. And obviously it didn't hit with all audiences. But really? You're going to tell me the best shot movie of the year is not going to get in cinematography? That is bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm going to swear like a motherfucker on this episode. But I'm telling you, I'm so mad about this stuff because if you really objectively look at the craft of filmmaking, I don't know how some of these movies get in. I get it. It's the cinematographers who voted on it. But still, to me, it is baffling. I think Elvis's cinematography nomination is certainly not anywhere near as egregious as its editing, but I just don't see how that gets in over a lot of other stuff. I mean, Top Gun Maverick, come on, they shot so much footage for that movie, and just getting those IMAX cameras in the plane, I think it's kind of ridiculous that was left out. And then, of course, the cinematography for The Northman was incredible. Especially that tracking shot when they're going into the village. It's one unsimulated take, and it's absolutely breathtaking. You could say the same thing about Greg Fraser's work in The Batman, which I knew was going to get snubbed. But my goodness, how could they pass that over? And The Batman got a few nominations, so I'm really not sure what happened there. And of course, Elliot Rocket's cinematography for Pearl, that Technicolor kind of dreamlike vibe that he creates, it really feels like a 1940s Hollywood film. And so I really do not know for the life of me what went wrong on so many levels in this category. I think it's absolutely blasphemous. Obviously, though, I haven't seen Empire of Light, and Roger Deakins is one of the best of all time. So I hear mixed things about that movie, but I can imagine Deakins getting a nomination was well deserved. I really only agree with Tar here. Tar's cinematography was one of the best of the year, so I do not argue with that at all. I just think there's so many other better films that could have gotten in, and oh well, here they are. I hope you're happy. And as I said, I haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front yet, and I do want to watch Bardot now, so sight unseen whether those films deserve to get in. I'm sure they did. So yeah, I guess I'll just have to wait and see till then, but overall this category could have been a lot stronger. And now the nominees for Best Production Design are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. Now, this is a much more reasonable category, I think. And definitely a category Elvis deserved to get into, if anything. And it obviously shows just how much they love All Quiet on the Western Front and all these technical categories here. I think, to me, the no-brainer would be Babylon, especially the way they recreated 1920s Hollywood, all that stuff. Very, very impressive. Elvis is certainly nothing to scoff at either. Avatar could win, though, just because of the world he creates, but I don't know if I agree with that, because a lot of it, yeah, they had to, like, build sets and like, all this stuff to kind of create the visual environment, but a lot of it is visuals, and as I said, I think visual effects is a no-brainer, but I still think that it has a shot, and obviously the Fabelman period piece is just absolutely beautiful. So very good category overall, but if I had to put money down, I would bet Babylon. Now, I think it's important I go over makeup and hairstyling this year, because this category is actually really, really interesting. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale. Now, this is very, very interesting because a lot of these films have a lot of merit to their makeup and hairstyle. I don't know why All Quiet on the Western Front was nominated, but I guess I'll have to see why they do that. Maybe it's like the blood and gore or whatever. The Batman, I mean, obviously Colin Farrell is the Penguin. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive by all technical means. I mean, he's unrecognizable in that movie. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, you know why. Obviously, the costumes, the African tribal hair design. I mean, everything about it is pretty incredible. Elvis, yeah, period detail. Got to recreate that. And they do it very, very well, obviously. And The Whale, which might end up winning. I mean, come on, Brendan Fraser in that fat suit. Obviously, it's his performance that really puts him forward, but I don't know. I really think that this could be the one to win. And, I think especially that transformation Brendan Fraser had to go through. He couldn't even, like, sit up himself. Like, that's how impressive that suit was. It wasn't just like, oh, he threw on a fat suit like Gary Oldman and Darkest Hour, which he won an Oscar for. It really was something that weighed him down, just like the character of Charlie himself. So I think that alone probably is deserving of an Oscar win for The Whale. But that's what I'm going to say right now, and we'll see how that progresses once we get along to awards night. Alright, and now we get the nominees for Best Sound, which are as follows. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun: Maverick. I mean, could we just swap Babylon out with Elvis, please? I really don't know how Babylon didn't get in here. Sound design in the movie was crazy, especially considering how it was about that transition between, the silent era and the sound era, and how they had, fun with that within the film itself, but also the way they amped up tension with the sound was really, really incredible. Almost nail-biting. Almost, reminded me of Whiplash in that sense. But I also think Pearl, let's just forget about every single great horror movie that came out this year, as they always do. I thought that had some of the most nail-biting, eerie sound design that I had heard in any movie last year. But let's be honest, I mean, it's Avatar's award to lose. I really think that was the best sound film of the entire year. The soundscapes they create within this world of Pandora, once again, just technically impressive from every single facet. So I certainly don't disagree with that being in, and I think that should absolutely take the win. And then we have the Best Original Song category, and the nominees are Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. Yet again, Diane Warren getting in there. It's probably the most, cliche song you ever heard in your life. Hold My Hand from Top Gun: Maverick. Lift Me Up from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Natu Natu from RRR. And This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Natu 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 Natu. Yeah, I mean, this is this is quite a category, let's be honest. As I said, I haven't heard the others, first song I mentioned, but probably don't need to. But yeah, I mean, come on. I don't know if you guys have seen RRR, but I just watched that movie for the first time, and it is fucking awesome. And especially the scene with that song was really the turning point of the movie for me, where I'm like, okay, this is incredible. And I think such a cool piece of Indian pop music. It'd be awesome to see that win. Lift Me Up is great as well, even though it kind of slightly falls within that generic territory. But I feel like a lot of these songs are just kind of bland, kind of generic. I don't even remember the song from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I will check up on that one again. I want to give that the respect it deserves. But overall, I think that this is a fairly weak category. I definitely think Lift Me Up could win as well. Get Rihanna an Oscar, which would be cool. But I don't know. Natu, baby. I mean, how can you beat it? It's such a banger of a song, and it's just implemented so well in the movie. I think that's the best implementation of any song that I've seen in a movie from last year. But only time will tell. It won the Golden Globe, so there's certainly a chance that it will win the Oscar, and that's what I'm hoping for. And the nominees for Best Original Score are Volker Bertelmann for All Quiet on the Western Front, Justin Hurwitz for Babylon, Carter Burwell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Son Lux for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and John Williams for The Fabelmans. Now look, the short list was pretty bad. I mean, let's be honest. They left off so many great scores, especially Michael Giacchino's for The Batman. I think it was absolutely ridiculous that didn't get in. And then again, on Alexandre Desplat for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, I thought that might have been one of the absolute best scores of the year. Ludwig Göransson's score for Black Panther Wakanda Forever I thought was even better than the original, which he won an Oscar for, keep in mind. So I really was confused about a lot of these picks. But more than anything, I really think that they got Babylon something here. And I think Justin Hurwitz, by far best score of the year, should win this award. I mean, it would be his, I want to say, second, hold on. Yes, so this would be his second win after La La Land if he did get in, and I really hope that this award goes to him. I think anybody who's listening to that score says it's the faraway winner. So yeah, Babylon, please just give them one award. Please. I mean, this movie was just so immaculately made. Sure, it's messy in spots, but you have to respect the technicals of this film, and I don't think the Academy is giving it very much. So hopefully it gets this award, and then I guess I'll settle for that. I don't know at this point. Alright, and for Best Animated Feature Film, literally the most predictable category of this entire morning, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel Duchamp with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I mean, come on, what other movie was going to be? Lightyear? No, this is a very, very obvious category, and that's absolutely fine. So I think, personally, Marcel Duchamp with Shoes On should win. I think that's by far the best animated film of the year, and I think it isn't even, like, animated in some parts, but just the way it integrates animation and live action is really, really phenomenal. But I think, I don't know, I feel like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is going to win, because that's been getting a lot of traction. And to be quite honest, it's one of my least favorites in the category. I had a lot of problems, well, I had enough problems with the movie where I was like, okay, like, I don't see why this is a masterpiece as much as other people are saying. I mean, the song sucked. I thought the opening narration was way too expository. There could have been a lot of stuff that they left to the imagination of the audience, which is so interesting because Del Toro is such an imaginative filmmaker and is so brilliant. I mean, you've seen The Shape of Water, so, you know, whatever that's worth. But I think really this could be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio winning this award, though Puss in Boots' Last Wish obviously has gotten a lot of traction. Some might even think it's better than Shrek. I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, this is a very open-ended category, but if I had to pin down anything, I think they're going to give it to Pinocchio. And for Best International Feature, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front for Germany, Argentina 1985 from Argentina, Close for Belgium, EO for Poland, and The Quiet Girl for Ireland. I mean, what language is that in? I thought that they only... Anyway, maybe I don't know enough about my world history here. I mean, come on. Isn't it obvious what's going to win? All Quiet on the Western Front. It's in Best Picture. Obviously, the film adaptation from 1930 won Best Picture. So I think it's pretty obvious that that is the award. This is going. I mean, it's one of the most nominated films of the entire ceremony. So, yeah, it's going to take it home, no question. It's just really a bummer that India didn't submit RRR. I mean, that movie, to me, would be a for sure win if it was in here. But obviously, it's not, and I think it looks like All Quiet on the Western Front is the runaway favorite. Alright, and for the nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay, we have All Quiet on the Western Front, screenplay by Edward Berger, Leslie Patterson, and Ian Stokell. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, written by Ryan Johnson. Living, written by Kazuo Ishiguro. Top Gun Maverick, screenplay by Aaron Cougar and Eric Warren Singer and Christopher McQuarrie, story by Peter Craig and Justin Marks. And Woman Talking, screenplay by Sarah Polley. This is a very, very interesting category because I definitely thought that The Whale should have gone in, but maybe it didn't, because obviously across the board The Whale didn't get as much support as I think a lot of people would have hoped, or people who love the movie, because I know it's been pretty divisive. But maybe that didn't get nominated because it's just a straight adaptation of the play. And don't get me wrong, it's a great script, but maybe it got left out because of that. But honestly, considering they weren't going to consider Pearl anyway, I think this is a really good batch here. I need to see Living still. I know it's an adaptation of Akiru, which I just watched for the first time, which is pretty great. And All Quiet on the Western Front, obviously, is just getting support all across the board. If we're up to me, I would pick Glass Onion to win. No, not that everyone agrees with me on that. But I think Sarah Polley for Woman Talking is certainly nothing to scoff at, and I think she might end up taking home this award. I have to lock it in. But I also have to say how happy I am that Top Gun Maverick got it, because I really didn't expect that at all. And it isn't on the surface the most amazing screenplay anybody's ever going to read, but it's just so well executed. There's so much pathos and emotion behind it, and it just bettered the first film so much that I think that it absolutely is worthy of a nomination in this category. So glad to see it, but I really, if I had to put my money down on anything, I think Sarah Polley is going to win for Woman Talking. I'm glad it at least got in a couple categories, which is insane, but we'll get into that shortly. And now, the nominees for a Best Original Screenplay are Banshees of Inisherin, written by Martin McDonagh. Everything Everywhere All at Once, written by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. The Fabelmans, written by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner. Tar, written by Todd Field. And Triangle of Sadness, written by Ruben Östlund. Yeah, I mean, not too many surprises. I know a lot of people thought Triangle of Sadness was going to sneak in to the screenplay category, and maybe a couple of others as we found out. But I really think that this is no surprise at all. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once should win, and I think it has a very, very good shot at winning the award. Though Banshees of Inisherin, I mean, Martin McDonagh, obviously very, very acclaimed writer, director, so it would make sense if he won as well, just how heavy the dialogue is and the emphasis of the subtext in that film, I think really could put him onto an Oscar win. I think he lost for 3 Billboards to Jordan Peele, rightfully so, I guess, but I think that, Martin McDonagh could win. But if I had to guess, I think the Daniels are going to win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, it's such an incredible achievement. How can you not recognize their phenomenal work here? I really don't know. But yeah, that's just my take on it. Alright, now we're getting to the big awards here. With Best Actress in a Supporting Role, nominees are Angela Bassett for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow in The Whale, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Sue in Everything Everywhere All at Once. This category is kind of nutty to me in a lot of ways. First, I have to mention, though, Angela Bassett, the first actor to get nominated for a performance in a Marvel movie. Absolutely historic. It's never been done before. The last person I think was nominated for a comic book movie was Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, and he won. So I think this is a huge win for Marvel. Absolutely. Hong Chow, I think, so glad she got in. She didn't get snubbed. I thought if anybody should win Best Supporting Actress, it's her. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I certainly do believe it. Carrie Condon absolutely had to be in there. Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, look, she's great. She's funny in the movie, but, like, I don't know if that warrants an Academy Award nomination. I mean, Stephanie Sue, yes, absolutely. If anybody had to get nominated in this category for the movie, it was her. But Jamie Lee Curtis, I feel like, oh, well, you've never been nominated for, so here you go. And I don't necessarily agree with that notion. I think it's absolutely ludicrous sometimes. I'm not saying this is the worst performance to ever get nominated. No, I would not even go that far. She is great in the film. I just don't see it being an Oscar-worthy performance. I don't know. I think it's a little silly, but I also think, too, like, Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley, why does the Academy have such an aversion to nominating Claire Foy for anything? I mean, First Man and now this? I mean, I would say that she's right up there to win this award, if you ask me. Not even there. And Jessie Buckley, I was surprised at, because she got nominated unexpectedly last year for... What was the name of that movie? Because she got nominated for The Lost Daughter last year, and I mean, she's great in that, but it was certainly unexpected, so I thought that she really was an Academy favorite. I don't know. Maybe the competition is just tighter. These people have been running really great campaigns. I think in Hong Chau's case, it was just because she's that good in that movie. But honestly, if I had to guess who's going to win, I think it's going to be Angela Bassett. I really do, and that's going to be huge. I mean, she won the Golden Globe. We still have yet to see if she's going to win some other awards here, but I really think that they finally want to give her an Oscar. It's her time. I don't necessarily know if her screen time in that movie warrants an Academy Award, but I definitely think she deserved to be nominated. I mean, oh my goodness, she's a knockout. But I definitely think, you know, given her career and how heralded she is, and of course, what she had to go through in channeling that grief of Chadwick Boseman's passing, I really think, and then the stupid stunner sun polled about Michael B. Jordan, I really think that they might just give her this award, and I wouldn't say she's undeserving of it, quite frankly, but I really think if anyone deserves it, as I said, it's Hong Chau or even Carrie Condon. A very, very tight category besides, I don't know, Jamie Lee Curtis, who is very good regardless. But yeah, I mean, just such an interesting race. I really think that Woman Talking should have gotten at least one acting nomination, and the fact that it didn't is absolutely ludicrous. But, I mean, what am I to say? I wasn't there to vote, so here they are, and yeah, Angela Bassett might take this award home. We'll see. And now we have the nominees for Actor in a Supporting Role, and they are Brendan Gleeson in The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, Judd Hirsch in The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan in The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know what to say about this category. I am so torn. Paul Dano? Again? Are you really going to ignore the fact that this man is one of the best actors and has been putting in the most consistent work out of anybody in his field for the past 10 years? I guess not. But Judd Hirsch gets a nomination. He showed up for 5 minutes. And don't get me wrong, he's amazing and I think he should have been nominated. But my problem is, one, I haven't seen Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, so I am going to do my due diligence and watch that. Barry Keoghan, he's obviously been blowing up the past few years. So many great performances, so it's nice to see him get nominated. I've never understood why Brendan Gleeson has been getting as much attention. It's a very subtle performance, and maybe that's why, but I don't think it's subtle. I just don't know if it is that kind of subtle performance for me where I'm like, okay, I get why he's getting in. But yet again, he is a veteran, never been nominated before, so I'm happy to see him get in. And I do admit, he is very good in that film. But, geez, I mean, Paul Dano, come on, just give this man a nomination already. I mean, look, obviously, Love and Mercy, I would say he should have won for playing Brian Wilson. Absolutely incredible in that film. So I don't know what happened there. Should have gotten in. I mean, especially because if you had to take anyone out, I mean, Judd Hirsch, if we're nominating anyone from The Fabelmans, I really think Paul Dano deserved it more, to be quite frank. But Judd Hirsch is amazing, veteran actor. I mean, he's 87 years old, so, you know, it's cool to see him get in, and I certainly think it's deserved. But let's be honest. Also, before I go on, I mean, Ben Whishaw in Woman Talking, I would say, is probably the runner-up in this category. I really think he was quite tremendous and gave his best performance that I've seen. So yet again, unbelievable that they completely shut out Woman Talking in the acting categories. But come on. I mean, this is Ke Huy Quan's award to lose. I mean, this man, this is the comeback of the century along with Brendan Fraser in The Whale. He's just such a wholesome person. He just radiates positivity, and yet his performance is what I would say is the best supporting turn of all of 2022. I mean, what he does in that movie is nothing short of incredible. And to see Short Round get nominated for an Oscar is like, yes, who would have ever thought years ago that this would have happened? But I'm so glad to see him get the love and respect that he absolutely deserves. I absolutely love that man. Would love to work with him and meet with him one day. I mean, he's just such an incredible person. And I think he, for sure, is the one lock out of all the acting nominees to absolutely win, and I will put that in stone right now. If anyone else won this award, quite frankly, I'd be upset because nobody deserves it more than Ke, and I will take that to Oscar ceremony night. And now for the nominees for Best Actress in a Leading Role, we have Cate Blanchett in Tar, Ana de Armas in Blonde, Andrea Riseborough and To Leslie, Michelle Williams in The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Where is Danielle Deadwyler? My goodness, that woman poured her heart and soul into that movie. It is one of the most affecting performances I've seen of the entire year. And don't even get me started about Mia Goth, because I knew they were going to shut her out anyway. But jeez, I mean, how do you watch that and say she doesn't deserve an Oscar nomination? Did people pass over this movie? Did they not see it? I don't know. I think it's absolutely insane to me. Granted, I haven't seen To Leslie, but obviously Andrea Riseborough has been in a lot of interesting projects over the past few years. So it's nice to see her get nominated. At least I have to see the movie to be sure. But Ana de Armas, I mean, everyone was saying, well, she should be nominated for Marilyn Monroe. And now I have to sit through that slog of a fucking movie. Just watch Marilyn Monroe get exploited for 2.5 hours. Not very happy about that, but I will watch it for Ana de Armas. Just because I said she got nominated, I'll watch it. I didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are. Love Ana de Armas, though, and I think she's probably incredible in that movie as Monroe. So I will watch it, but let's be honest, I think Cate Blanchett's going to win her third Oscar. Really is kind of hard to, well, I wouldn't say it's hard to see anyone else winning, because I think Michelle Williams, if it were up to me, I would give Michelle Williams her Oscar finally. And Michelle Yeoh, really great to see her nominated for the first time. Absolutely amazing in Everything Ever All at Once. I think everyone knows that. And yeah, so really great to see her nominated. But I think Danielle Deadwyler was obviously such a huge snub. And I mean, to a further extent, Mia Goth, because I just think that was like the best performance I saw last year. But regardless, that's where the cookie crumbles. And I think it's going to fall within the graces of Cate Blanchett once again. Academy favorite, one of the best of all time. Wouldn't mind if she won, honestly. Her character is such a riveting one, and yeah, that's it. And then we move on to Best Actor in a Leading Role, and the nominees are Austin Butler in Elvis, Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal in Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living. I mean, not a huge surprise. I think the biggest surprise in this category was Paul Mescal, because there was that fifth slot. It's like, who's it going to go to? Tom Cruise, Hugh Jackman, Paul Mescal, and it ended up going to him. Jeremy Pope was also in the conversation. But I really want to see this movie because I've heard nothing but incredible things. I just can't really find it right now, and I'm definitely going to do my due diligence before I make my top films of 2022. So I'm very excited for him. Can't wait to see it. Bill Nye, obviously very, very expected for that adaptation of Akiru. But come on, I mean, this is honestly not as clear-cut of a race as I think, or as a lot of people think, because, I mean, Brendan Fraser, obviously, I think, by far deserves to win. But Austin Butler, I mean, that man became Elvis. Like, you see him in interviews, and he just talks like Elvis now. That's like his whole personality. And I just think it's really interesting to see that, very guttural transformation into another human being. So honestly, if either one of them won, I would be absolutely okay. But I just think Brendan Fraser, I mean, this is a performance like no other. If Elvis was a better movie, I would say give it to Austin Butler. But it's not. It's not a very good movie. He's better than Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, though, so I have to give him that. But Brendan Fraser, I mean, what a... like I was saying with Ke Huy Quan, what a comeback story. Everything he's been through, I just think to this point, it would be incredible to give him the Oscar. And he's just such an amazing person, so grateful, so down to earth. Just the fact that he didn't show up at the Golden Globes because he said, my mom didn't raise me to be a hypocrite, I think just shows just how much character that he has. And I think is probably the best performance in this category. Really would be happy to see him win. And I still think Austin Butler could win. I mean, especially think about it. The death of Lisa Marie. People are going to be very sympathetic towards him and the Presley family, which may be factored into the nominations, though I don't know about that. So I think it could go either way between the two of them. Very happy to see Colin Farrell finally get nominated for an Oscar. It's been a long time coming, but really glad to see him finally get in for this film. And yeah, I'm still going to say Brendan Fraser, though. And now the nominees for Best Director are as follows. Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Todd Field for Tar. And Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. Now that was probably the biggest shock in the director category. One of the biggest shocks of the entire ceremony, because I feel like Triangle of Sadness has been a very divisive film. So for it to get into Best Director was quite surprising, especially considering All Quiet on the Western Front is getting so many nominations. Very, very shocking in that sense, but I still have to see it. I am very excited to watch and see where I fall on it. Everyone thought James Cameron for Avatar Way of Water, but obviously I guess the character work wasn't good enough. I don't know what to tell you. But then again, they snubbed Denis Villeneuve for Dune, so maybe not as surprising as you'd think. But I don't know. I don't know if this is a clear-cut race, just because Everything Everywhere All at Once has been gaining so much traction. But I still think they should give it to Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Give him a third Best Director nomination. I mean, he might be the greatest director alive, and I think that this is his best film since Saving Private Ryan. So I absolutely think he deserves it. I think it is the best directed film of the entire year. Though if the Daniels won, I mean, really glad to see them in there, by the way. I wouldn't be upset at that, but I think Spielberg deserves to win, and I guess that's the end of that conversation. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The nominees for Best Picture are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and last but not least, Women Talking. This is quite an interesting group of nominees, because The Whale didn't get in, Glass Onion got shut out, a lot of movies that were on the bubble did not make it in, but then we got All Quiet on the Western Front, which was nominated in so many other categories, and Triangle of Sadness, which were probably the two biggest shocks in this category. And then we have Elvis, which, let's be honest, it is the silliest Best Picture nominee in years, probably since Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Granted, it's not that bad. I mean, it definitely has some merit to it. But I think probably, just slightly worse than Bohemian Rhapsody, which I thought was quite silly to begin with that getting nominated. But yeah, I mean, this, I don't know. I think this is a solid pool minus Elvis. I think that's just a little ridiculous when you could have put something like Glass Onion in, or, something a little bit better than that. The Whale, I really don't understand, but whatever. I mean, as I said, a lot of people love this movie, much to my chagrin. Good for you guys. I'm glad you've got something out of it. There's certainly many commendable aspects about the film. But I think it was more of Austin Butler's performance and some of the, like the costumes and stuff that really propel that forward. I don't know, never understood Baz Luhrmann. But glad to see he didn't get nominated for Best Director. Obviously, a lot of these movies, no surprise. The first time we've had 2 sequels be nominated for Best Picture is kind of insane, with Avatar: The Way of Water and Top Gun: Maverick. Top Gun: Maverick, the first film of which didn't even get a Best Picture nomination. I'm not saying it deserved it either. But I really think that this is a solid, list of movies. I think RRR should have made it in, honestly. It's just the fact that India didn't submit it. I thought, well, maybe it had a chance for that 10th slot. But obviously, All Quiet on the Western Front was kind of the world cinema favorite that got into here. But honestly, I mean, this is not a clear-cut race. I still think The Fabelmans has a shot, but honestly, it's looking like Everything Everywhere All at Once is the one to beat. And I mean, what an incredible story that would be, because I remember watching that movie, sometime last year, and I was like, is this going to be an Oscar movie? And if this wins Best Picture, this basically changes everything the Academy has stood for the past 90-odd something years. And I think once Moonlight won Best Picture, that's when things really started to turn around. And then Green Book went back a few steps. And then Parasite was really the one where it's like, oh, this is a different voting body, really. And I think that this pool of nominees shows that. We've come a long way to just the old white dudes sitting up on the podium and saying what was going to be in the conversation. I mean, you have action movies, you have sequels in here. I really think, and then weird indie films that have so much depth and gravitas and range to them, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think this really has shown how long of a way the Academy has come, and I think starting to give them a lot of credibility, because I think a lot of people kind of laughed at it as snobbery, and I think including movies like this, the great films that everyone loves, I think they are really starting to make steps to making amends to what the films that they have awarded in the past. And I also think picking movies that will stand the test of time, and we can look back and say, oh, that was a great movie, we should look at the Best Picture winners. A lot of those end up being classics, which I can't say about a lot of Best Picture winners of the past 100 years, but I think this is where we're really starting to see a change for the better. So yeah, guys, that's all my thoughts on the Oscar nominations. What did you think about the nominations? Were there any snubs that I didn't mention that you thought should have been in there? Do you agree with my Elvis slander? I don't know. Drop your comments down below. Tell me what you think. And of course, thank you for tuning into this long video. Of course, be sure to smash that like button, drop a sub on the channel if you haven't already. Going to be a lot more great content coming up. We're going to start putting together the top 100 greatest films of all time series as voted by you guys. Still waiting on a couple things there to get that off the ground, but I assure you it will come very soon. And even though it didn't get nominated, obviously by popular opinion, you guys want to see my review of Broker, and I will bring that to you. That will be my next movie review, as well as after that, All Quiet on the Western Front and Triangle Sadness, and maybe Megan, if I get time. It's a very, very busy period of my life right now. I've just been going like crazy, but I hope you guys stick with me regardless. I assure you it is all coming very soon, and I thank you for tuning in. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
Elvis.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me, Elvis.
Everything.
Come on, that's not one of the best. That movie's f***ing so over-edited. Holy shit, that's stupid. Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun.
Alright, fuck you.